All praise and glory to the Most High. Hey, hey, hey. What's going on, everybody? Peace and blessings. Hope everyone is doing well. Hope everyone has, been able to, get further along in their research and search for that indigenous truth. As always, I'd like to thank everyone who's putting in their time, effort, and energy to get that truth out there. As always, may the Most High bless you, your households, your paths, your seeds, and everything that you do. Hey, hey, all right? Just wanted to share some information with you guys. Let's see. Right now, I'm going to be dealing with I'm going to show you a couple of videos, deal with some information out the Black's Law Dictionary. I personally have the 4th edition, and the reason I have the 4th edition, which I know there are new, more up-to-date editions, of course, but the reason why I have this is because the bookstore I got it from, it told me it had the definition of black in here. It does not, unfortunately. And, I took the brother's word for it, and when I got it home, lo and behold, it was not in there. But, of course, it still has plenty of other information in here. So I'm going to share some definitions out of here with you guys. But if anybody has the edition that has the definition of black in it, can you let me know what it is, what edition it is, and also can you send me a screenshot of the definition if you have it? Thank you in advance. So, all right. Okay. So, this is not a new law, but they have a law in the books called civil asset forfeiture. Now, it's not a new law. It's been on the books for quite some time. I just actually found out about it myself last year, and this book is still on this law is still on the books to this day. Now, you have what's called asset forfeiture, and that's for those of you who know people who have street degrees in, let's say, pharmaceuticals. That's, of course, when they could arrest you, convict you of a crime, and they could take all your assets, your house, your cars, your money, whatever the case may be, right? They claim it's for court cause victims, if a victim was involved, and whatever the case may be. And then you have civil asset forfeiture, and that is when, if they think, for instance, if you get pulled over and the police think you got a pocket full of money, or you have, assets in a car, they think you're going to commit a crime or something like that, they can seize your assets. They can seize your car, your house, your property, so on and so forth. But I will let the Institute for Justice, and then I have a a short video from CNN explaining what it is. Because especially with what we have coming down the pike, it's going to be easy for a lot of people who are unaware to be taken advantage of, especially if you don't know this exists. Again, I have an article from Forbes, and they actually had a discussion about it January 2nd, I believe it is, but I'll give you a screenshot of the article. But let me play this video for you. Let's get this going.
Welcome to the forfeiture machine. Civil forfeiture is when police and prosecutors seize property they suspect is connected to a crime. If you are charged with a crime, the government must prove your guilt and provide you an attorney if you can't afford one. But in the upside-down world of civil forfeiture, it's your property that gets charged, and you must prove that it isn't guilty. You must pay for a lawyer or go it alone. And if the police and prosecutors win, they get to keep the property for their own use, giving them the incentive to take as much as possible. Nowhere is the civil forfeiture machine more active than in Philadelphia. Each year, the city takes the cash, cars, and even homes of thousands of its citizens who have not been convicted of a crime. Meet Jackie. Jackie lives in a modest house with her 3 grandchildren. One day, the police arrested Jackie's oldest grandson outside her home for selling a small amount of marijuana. There were no drugs inside, and Jackie has never been in trouble with the law. Yet Philadelphia now wants to forfeit and sell Jackie's home. The letter tells Jackie that to save her home, she must come to courtroom 478. When Jackie arrives, she sees no judge, no jury, just a court scheduler and the prosecutors running the show. When Jackie asks if she needs an attorney, the prosecutor replies, "No, your case isn't complicated," and hands her a long questionnaire to fill out. After Jackie finishes, the prosecutor orders her to return in a month. When Jackie comes back, the prosecutor orders her to bring her bank records. The month after that, the prosecutor orders her to kick out her grandson. Property owners are forced to return as many as a dozen times before they even see a judge. If they miss a single hearing, they lose their property forever. After nearly a year, the prosecutor asks Jackie if she wants to settle by agreeing to give up her home in exchange for half the sales price. Worn down, Jackie reluctantly accepts. It's not fair. It's not right. But there's no telling when this nightmare will end. Jackie is not alone. In over a decade, Philadelphia's forfeiture machine took more than 1,100 homes. That's more than 20 times all other counties in Pennsylvania combined. Altogether, Philadelphia collected $64 million in forfeiture proceeds. Shockingly, Philadelphia used almost half of that money for salaries, including the salaries of the very prosecutors doing the forfeiting. Philadelphia's forfeiture machine is unconscionable and unconstitutional. That's why the Institute for Justice has sued Philadelphia in federal court to end these abusive forfeiture practices and to stop the city's police and prosecutors from treating its citizens like ATM machines. Click here to help tear down Philadelphia's forfeiture machine and restore liberty.
Attorney General Eric Holder made a sort of quiet announcement that the Justice Department was scaling back on a program that you probably never heard of. It's called Civil Asset Forfeiture. It's a fancy title that basically lets the federal as well as state and local governments take your money without charging you with a crime if they only think that money may have been used as part of some criminal activity. Now, over the years, the program has ballooned to the point that, according to a recent Washington Post investigation, more than $2 billion has been seized. Attorney General Holder now says the federal government will no longer take part in most of these seizures. It doesn't mean that state and local governments are going to end theirs. Not at all. It doesn't mean that. Tonight, the beginning of a CNN investigation with some truly eye-opening examples of exactly what can happen. Gary Tuckman investigating.
It's a bright, clear morning in April 2013. Inside that red car just ahead are these 2 men, Bart Davis and John Numerzinski, 2 friends who also happen to be professional poker players. On this dashcam footage, in the distance, you can see the red car flashing a turn signal indicator to pass a black SUV. A few minutes later, an Iowa State trooper pulls them over.
And what did he say?
Said I didn't use my blinker. And he was going to write me a citation and only take a minute and to come with him to get in his car.
It was the beginning of an encounter with what eventually would be 2 Iowa State troopers. Professional poker players often travel with quite a bit of money, which they use in tournaments around the country. The troopers pulled this battered briefcase out of the trunk and found $85,000 in cash belonging to Bart Davis, and another $15,000 belonging to Numerzinski. And the officers took it all.
This was the briefcase that I was carrying. It was locked. They threatened to destroy it if I didn't give them the combination.
So you carry money in this all the time for poker, right? I mean, you have money in it right
I
now.
do. I brought it along because I happen to have
Just how normal it is.
some money. I got that from the bank.
So how much is this?
That's $10,000. If I were traveling interstate, I would seal it.
The two men wound up being questioned for hours. They were given a traffic warning, but not a citation. Numerzinski pled guilty to a misdemeanor charge of possession of marijuana paraphernalia, which he said was used for medical marijuana. Troopers let the men go, but took the $100,000. Seized, the authorities said, as part of what the troopers called an interdiction, because they claimed to believe the money was being used to buy drugs. It's called civil asset forfeiture. And that wasn't all.
Based on their belief that they thought my clients were involved in drug activity, called California, where they live, informed the officers there or law enforcement officials there that they believed they were involved in drug activity. A search warrant was obtained on the basis of that information from the Iowa officer, and they raided their homes in California, okay, and tore their homes apart, looking for things related to drugs.
Even though there was only one misdemeanor drug charge in Iowa, California authorities claimed they were distributing drugs there. The men's lawyer, Glenn Downey, says Numerzinski was indicted. Then both men were offered a deal by the state of Iowa. We'll give you back $90,000 as long as you let us keep the rest. The men took the deal, afraid they would lose all their money if they didn't. The state of Iowa kept $10,000, and the felony charge in California was dropped. As shady as the whole affair sounds, it wasn't a one-off. It's part of a concerted effort by some law enforcement to legally target and keep your money without ever filing charges. In fact, the two Iowa state troopers, as well as thousands of other state and local cops nationwide, learned how to conduct these kinds of stops from private companies. And the biggest one is an Oklahoma company called Desert Snow. The Desert Snow trainers travel all over the country to hold their workshops, and business is brisk. According to the company's website, 30 seminars are scheduled for 2015, from Oregon to Florida, from Delaware to California, and your police department could be one of Desert Snow's clients. This is the man in charge of Desert Snow, a former California State Highway Patrol officer named Joe David. He wouldn't talk with CNN on camera, but a glance at what his company charges police agencies shows his training isn't cheap. The lowest price for a police force to attend, according to this price list, is a bit over $8,000, and the top end, $145,000. Why would a police department spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to go to a seminar, which is something you learn in the police academy?
Well, they say they teach them more than they'll learn in the police academy, that they have specialized knowledge to teach these officers how to do it even better. I believe the training encourages them to take more cash, because the more cash they take, the more cash Joe David is going to get in training materials.
Joe David told us he couldn't answer written questions about how many officers he trained or how much money he's made because of a lawsuit filed by Downey on behalf of those poker players. He claims it's only a small part of his business, which also helps officers go after people ranging from terrorists to kidnappers. As for cash seizures, he said, quote, "The purpose is not to take and seize funds belonging to innocent people. The purpose is to seize funds when they are tied to criminal activity. But there have never been any charges that the money taken from Bart Davis or John Numerzinski has been tied to criminal activity." What has this done to your life?
It's made me aware of things I was unaware of, and made me angry. You know, it's not only this type of conduct that we're having problems with police these days. And how can you not be angry and saddened?
The men still want the rest of their money back, that $10,000 kept by the state of Iowa. So far, though, Iowa is not giving it back and is not backing down.
Gary Tuckman joins us now. So the Attorney General, as I said, Eric Holder, he's made this decision prohibiting some of these forfeitures. The impact, though, is actually going to be pretty minimal, right?
Right, this is just the first step. There will still be plenty of forfeitures. What the Attorney General has said that unless there's a public safety issue, that federal agencies can no longer keep the money that local police departments send to Washington under federal law. Now, a lot of times, local agencies want to use federal law because it's a stronger law, it's more streamlined, it's less bureaucratic. That will no longer be allowed, effective immediately. But if states leave Washington out of the equation, they can continue doing what they want, and that's exactly what happened to these two poker players.
All right. So, are y'all ready for the definition? according to Black's Law, highwayman, a bandit, one who robs travelers upon the highway. All right? Highwayman, highway police, state troopers, county sheriff, so on and so forth. Highwayman, a bandit who robs travelers upon the highway. Is that not what that is? Huh? Right here in the Black's Law Dictionary. All right? 4th edition. So, with all what we have coming down the pike, like I said, it's not a new law. However, let's see. Let's see if I can. This is out of, oh, they put this damn. Look at that. Excuse me, they put this ad in the way. All right, here we go. This is from, excuse me. Anyways, there it is. Excuse me. January 3rd, 2017. All right. By a very large measure, Americans oppose civil asset forfeiture. They think that it is wrong for the government to take property from someone who has not been convicted of any crime. The most recent evidence showing that is found in recent Cato Institute survey on public attitudes towards the police, and in it, 84% said they oppose allowing the police to seize a person's property on mere suspicion that he may have been involved in a crime. Unfortunately, it seems that Donald Trump's choice for Attorney General, Senator Jeff Sessions of Alabama, is among that small minority of Americans who reflexively support civil asset forfeiture because it supposedly helps fight crime. All right? At least those were his thoughts during a Judiciary Committee hearing on civil asset forfeiture May of 2015. I'm not going to read the rest. You can look up that article. It is from the Forbes magazine. All right. So, with that in mind, Jacob, Israel, be careful. We got a lot coming down the pike. You know, this maniac is getting ready to go into office. So, all right, you know, whatever state you live in, you might want to look it up. So, you know, a lot of you need to be careful, especially those of you who are, you know, I see this all the time. You know, riding up and down the highway, I see they be going through people's stuff, this, that, and the other, especially the melanated people. Okay? All right. Now, I'm not saying clearly it happens to them too. You know what I'm saying? The Caucasians. But, you know, you're going to be taken advantage of because you're not aware that these things exist. So, you know, for those of you who like to roll up and down the highway doing the thing, and you're not aware of this, they could take everything that you have. You see how they did the 2 Caucasian men. Okay? So imagine what they're going to do to you. Be careful, Jacob. Be careful. Keep your eyes open. Watch your backgrounds. Moving on. All right. I had a subject come up earlier. One of my friends, Chef 69, about the Native Americans. Now, I came across this video. Again, this information is for those of you who are just getting into this information, starting off your search and so on and so forth. Those of you who already know this, expand, expound, compare notes, whatever the case may be. But for those of you who need some clarification on this, here's a video by a lecture by Dr. Claude Anderson, the YouTuber who posted this, Scales and Balances Too. Okay? I came across this video earlier, helping somebody else out with the information. But I just wanted to share what this brother Dr. Claude Anderson has to say about the so-called Native Americans, the Mongoloid Native Americans. All right? There you go.
They lost, but they lost. So they tried to put most of the Indians on reservations. And they said to the Indians then, you are now basically a weak people. You've been a beaten people. And so the Indians said, well, as a beaten people, and we're on the reservation, what we're going to do, the first thing we're going to do, unlike those blacks over there, unlike those black slaves who just came out of slavery, we're not going to be like them. We're not going to be as foolish as they are. What the Indians say is what we're going to do now is that since we've lost our land, we're going to first of all lay a claim against the land. So Indians laid a claim against the land, saying that all the land in the United States originally belonged to us. We had a natural right to it. So even though we didn't have any legal documents or any deeds showing we owned it, we have a legal claim to the land. So as a legal claim to the land, therefore you took it from us, you owe us. So what the claim was based on what they call natural rights. Indian says there's a natural right to the land because we were the first ones here on it. Even though in fact they were not the first, it was blacks here before those guys got here. The blacks here were here about 11 to 12,000 years before the present day so-called Asian Indians came here. Blacks had been here already. But they said that was their land. Okay, so that's what they call natural law to lay claims against the land. So that meant they tried to impose an indebtedness on the government. Now blacks over here who's coming free after slavery with the shampoo on them with Lincoln. See, they thought we don't want anything. All we want is a chance to compete. We want equal opportunity. See, now Indians laid claims. All black folk wanted was an equal opportunity. Okay, then the Indians turned around and said, we want to be into a trust relationship in the United States. So they set up called a doctrine of trust for Indians, which says, since we are a weak and powerless people, since we don't own and control anything, then since you all beat us and you've misused us and own us now, then you owe it to us to take care of us. You see, you said you owe it to us to take care of us, so they call it a doctrine of trust. So the Indians then created a doctrine of trust so the United States government would take care of them. And as a result of that, see, then they could get free land, free labor, free medical care, free education, free casinos, okay? Tax-exempt status and pay no taxes. Court. They got in the Supreme Court in 1832. Chief Justice Marshall ruled and says that the Indians are a separate nation. He picked up that rhetoric that Indians have been pushing about being a separate nation. And then he said, well, the Indians are a separate nation, so therefore this guy's got a right to go out there when he wanted to. And when he made that ruling in 1832, that officially then made, in our constitutional law, they started accepting Indians being a separate nation. Okay? Now they're a separate nation, and with sovereignty, and now watch what happens now. Now they're getting dual benefit. They're getting reparations all the time. Now Indians that means every state set up an Indian commission. Every state has a separate Indian commission now to give Indians what they want because they're under the doctrine of trust, that they are dependent people and you have to take care of them. Those on the reservation. And they're never going to lose the reservation because they're not stupid. Why would they leave the reservation? They said they'd be taken care of. And you always got people that look how poor they are. Yes, they're poor because they ain't got to leave there. They want you to bring it to them. They can leave anytime they want to. Any poverty the Indians got is poverty they sit there waiting with for you to come resolve for them. They don't have to stay on the reservation. They stay there because that's free land and free everything. So when they set up that kind of a trust, Indians didn't sit there and waited for it. But see, we didn't set up that kind of trust. And when they got that ruling, that made it legitimate then that Indians were now an official foreign nation. Then every state then set up an Indian commission and that gives Indian services. They set up a federal Indian Bureau in Washington, D.C. The federal Indian Bureau typically puts out something like about $23,000 to $26,000 a year for every Indian in the United States. Then you got the biggest Indian tribe in the United States, the Cherokee tribe, that picks up in terms of reparations. They pick up something like you got about 155,000 Cherokee Indians out there to get $170 million a year in reparation funds. So Indians are getting all kinds of reparations. Indians have been getting reparations through treaties now, through land and free everything now for 200-some years. Black folk have got nothing because you went the wrong way. You cannot sit there and want to be a part of white society and that's exactly what the game they want you to play. Rather say, no, I'm a separate nation. You have problems, you owe me just like you.
All right, I'm back. I apologize. I didn't intend to take so long to get this video done, but I had to clean out my hard drive again. Had to get some things figured out. All right, so you just watched that video again, a lecture by Dr. Claude Anderson, explained to you how it is that the so-called Native American Mongoloid Indian ended up on this land and ended up in the situation that they're in. Okay, now I'm going to read a couple of definitions out of the Black Law pertaining to natives, and then I have some definitions up here. So out of the Black's Law Dictionary, native, a natural born subject or citizen. All right, a natural born subject or citizen. Now, remember, the beast man likes to use wordplay and trickery. Right? Now, natural, existing in or caused by nature, not made or caused by humankind. All right? Natural birth, right? A natural born subject or citizen. A vaginal birth, especially without medical intervention, such as pain relieving medication. A growing number of mothers, blah, 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 are opting for natural birth for their babies. All right, so natural born, having a specified innate characteristic or ability. Natural childbirth, a childbirth with minimal medical or technological intervention, usually involving special breathing and relaxation techniques. All right. So, a native, a natural born subject. That's all it is. It's saying that a person is naturally born. All right. Goes on to say, okay, a natural born subject or citizen, a denizen, Denizen, a denizen by birth. What's a denizen? An inhabitant or occupant of a particular place. A foreigner allowed certain rights in the adopted country. Right? Denizen. An inhabitant or occupant of a particular place. A foreigner allowed certain rights in the adopted country. All right. So it goes on to say, one who owes his domicile or citizenship to the fact of his birth within the country referred to. The term may also include one born abroad if his parents were then citizens of the country and not permanently residing in foreign parts. Now, all it is saying is that you're a native because you were born in this particular country. That's all it is saying. It doesn't make you indigenous. Okay? So if their ancestors came here long ago, all right, what makes them native is because they were born in the land. That's it. It doesn't make you indigenous to the land. I don't know why I'm looking over there. I should be looking right here. I don't know what I'm doing. It's getting late. But anyways, all right. So it goes on to say, the words natives are used in Allen Enemy Act, refers to a person's place of birth. So that a person remains in a native of country of his birth. Right? That is what makes them Native Americans. Now, all right. Okay. So leave those up there for a quick second so you can get it. Denizen. Right? The foreigner allows certain rights in his adopted country. And natural. All right. Again, it's your responsibility to fact check this. All right. Now, conventional wisdom says that Native Americans descended from prehistoric hunters who walked. Actually, hold on. Let me do something else. All right. I meant to go here first. The preferred term is American Indian. Russell Means, the Lakota activist and founder of the American Indian Movement, AIM, has strongly rejected Native American in favor of Indian. By the way, I abhor the term Native American. It is a generic government term used to describe all the indigenous prisoners of the United States. Right? Now, wordplay, trickery, hijack. Remember, this is what we're dealing with. Now, that's Russell Means right there for anybody who didn't know. Right? Russell Means, that's the guy who made that statement. All right? Now, let's go back to this article here. All right. Now, conventional wisdom says that Native Americans descended from prehistoric hunters who walked from Northeast Asia across a land bridge formed at the end of the Ice Age to Alaska some 12,000 years ago. American Indians resemble the people of Mongolia, China, and Siberia. This is an article. Who were the first Americans? National Geographic News. Published September 3rd, 2003. I'm gonna read the article. All right. Again, this is for those, I don't know why I keep looking over there, I'm getting tired. This is for those of you who are just coming across this information, who are unclear on why it is that people are running around talking about the so-called Native Americans, the Mongoloid, are not the true indigenous people of this land. Now let's see what National Geographic News has to say about it. All right. All right. Who were the first Americans? All right. This is by Stefan Lovgren for National Geographic News, September 3, 2003. All right. Now you're going to find out why it is that Russell Means doesn't like the term Native American. Right? A study of skulls excavated from the tip of Baja California in Mexico suggests that the first Americans may not have been the ancestors of today's Amerindians, but another people who came from Southeast Asia and the Southern Pacific area. Now, Brother Lex Will and Let Us Find the Truth, aka Education Center, both went in deep on this. So this is nothing new. I'm not claiming I found this information. I'm just passing this information along to other people who are not familiar with it. All right, but Lex Will, Let Us Find the Truth, they went in deep on this. All right. The question of who colonized the Americas and when has long been hotly debated. Traditionally, Native Americans are believed to have descended from Northeast Asia, arriving over a land bridge between Siberia and Alaska some 12,000 years ago, and then migrating across North and South America. But recent research, including the Baja California study, indicates that the initial settlement of the continent was instead driven by Southeast Asians who occupied Australia 60,000 years ago and then expanded into the Americas about 13,500 years ago, prior to Mongoloid people arriving from Northeast Asia. The skulls from Baja California, which may date back only a few hundred years ago, have slender-looking faces that are different from the broad-cheeked craniums of modern Amerindians, the descendants of Mongoloid people. Our results change the traditional idea that all modern Amerindians present morphological affinities with East Asians as a result of a single migration. Let me read that again. Excuse me. Our results change the traditional idea that all modern Amerindians present morphological affinities with East Asians as a result of a single migration, said Rolando Gonzalez Jose of the University of Barcelona, Spain, who led the study. The settlement of the New World is better explained by considering a continuous influx of people from Asia. The new study is reported in the week's issue of the science journal Nature and could further fuel the controversy surrounding the origins of the first Americans, which is a controversial issue for American Indians in particular. You know why? The brother Clark Anderson just explained to you why. It is an ongoing controversy with the American Indians. Challenging Clovis. Conventional wisdom says that the Native Americans descended from prehistoric hunters who walked from Northeast Asia across a land bridge formed at the end of the Ice Age to Alaska some 12,000 years ago. American Indians resemble the people of Mongolia, China, and Siberia. And I attest to this. I drive through these areas all the time. You look at a lot of these people, they look Chinese or something to that effect. All right? I don't know why I keep looking over there. Excuse me. I'm getting tired. In the 1930s, archaeologists found stone spear points among the bones of mammoths near Clovis, New Mexico. Radiocarbon dating in the 1950s showed that the oldest site was 11,400 years ago. The sites were assumed for years to be the first evidence of human occupation in the Americas. But more recent discoveries challenged the Clovis story. In 1996, archaeologists in southern Chile found weapons and tools dating back 12,500 years ago in Brazil. They found some of the oldest human remains in the Americas, among them a skeleton named Lucia that is more than 11,000 years ago. Lucia did not look like American Indians. Instead, her facial features matched most closely with the native aboriginals in Australia. These people date back to about 60,000 years ago and were themselves descended from the first humans who probably originated in Africa. Alright. The researchers believe Lucia was part of a people referred to as Paleo-Americans who migrated into the Americas, possibly even by boat, long before the Mongoloid people. These Paleo-Americans may later have been wiped out by or interbred with Mongoloids invading from the north. All right, real quick. I don't have the scripture at hand, but what was the scripture? What did the Most High say? I will bring a terrible what from the north? Ain't that what the Most High told his people? Ain't that what he told the children of Israel? I will bring somebody, I don't have the scripture in front of me, but y'all know what I'm talking about. The Most High said he was going to bring these people from the north to what? To do what to the children of Israel for their disobedience? All right, now before I continue on, I'm going to show you a picture of Lucia. Lucia woman is the name for an upper Paleolithic period skeleton of a Paleo-Indian woman who was found in a cave in Brazil. Some archaeologists believe the young woman may have been part of the first wave of immigrants to South America. Nicknamed Lucia, her name pays homage to the first African fossil, Lucy, who lived 3.2 million years ago. The 11,500-year-old skeleton was found in Lapa Vermelha, Brazil. Excuse me for jacking that up. In 1975 by archaeologist Annette Lemming. Y'all see it. But that is the picture of Lucia, according to their rendition, computerized rendition. Alright? See Lucia? Right? Right? See that curly hair that claiming Lucia had? Right? You see that nose Lucia got? See the nose? I don't know why I keep looking over there. See the nose Lucia got? I'm going to let that sit there for a minute. So those of you who are unclear can see that information. Right? There you go. All right, that's Lucia. All right. Matter of fact, I'm not gonna pull the story up. Again, it's your responsibility to research, expound, and expand on the information. Look up the story of Lucia for yourself. But there it is. All right. I don't know why my disc keep doing that. All right. So Mr. Russell Means, I understand why it is now you are offended by Native American, because it doesn't make you indigenous. All right. Did I lose the article? Yeah. All right. So let's move on. All right. The lake skulls found in Baja California are similar to Lucia and the Paleo-American skulls found in South America. Their craniums are characterized by long and narrow vaults with faces short and low in skeleton in relation. Excuse me, I'm gonna read that again. The lake skulls found in Baja California are similar to Lucia and the Paleo-American skulls found in South America. Their craniums are characterized by long and narrow vaults with faces short and low in relation to the neurocranium. Skeletal studies demonstrate that skeletal remains do not fit the Mongoloid set of traits. Read that again, excuse me. Getting tired. Excuse me. Skeletal studies demonstrate that skeletal remains do not fit the mongoloid set of traits that is determinant of the modern Amerindian morphology, said Gonzalez Jose. Our results demonstrate that not only are some early remains not mongoloid, but also some modern groups like those of Baja California. The study suggests that Baja California was one of many isolated pockets throughout the Americas where Paleo-American
Gina. I apologize, family, my disk is full again. We'll have to do a part 2. I hope this information is helpful to those of you who needed the clarification. Do your due diligence and study thyself approved. Thank you to everyone putting in that work. All praise and glory to the Most High. Haya.